back to recording on my computer. I can't lift it up onto the bed yet because it's too heavy with all of the computer lap desk setup stuff and all of that stuff. But other people have been helping me lift it up, so that's good. I uploaded a video of them unwrapping the gauze from around my chest today. I'm gonna try tomorrow to post the other video that I made on the 18th too. But they were all with my phone, and I'm finally back to being able to record on my computer again. Um, I'm very full of information today. It's only July 28th. You wouldn't think so much would happen in such a short little span of time, but the last time I recorded was on the 18th, so 10 days and a lot has happened. Um, the first thing is I'm still healing well. So for anyone who's like, "Oh no, is this bad news?" No. I'm healing fine. I'm doing fine. All of that stuff. But I had a couple of things happen, and I guess I'll start with the test results. I got when they do a double mastectomy, they send your tissue that they remove to be tested. They're checking for things like breast cancer, several cancers, really, diseases, all of that kind of stuff. Trying to make sure you're healthy because here they get the opportunity to, like, literally just take a sample of your body and check out what's going on. And the testing came back, and yay, I don't have cancer or disease, that kind of stuff. I'm not disease ridden or however you want to say that. Um, Technically, I had a disease, but it's not considered to be a real disease. It's where cysts form and then your fat absorbs them that in the breast tissue, and that apparently happens to some premenopausal women. They don't know why that happens. It just happens sometimes with people who haven't hit menopause. Um, that they just get cysts in their fat, and then the fat absorbs that when they've eventually burst, and it doesn't hurt you. It doesn't do any damage, but your breasts slowly get bigger and bigger over time. Um, but it's not harmful. It's not dangerous. Nothing like that. Anyway, um, didn't really care about that. The other test results were much more interesting. Um, it was written in big words, so I had to look up what these big words meant and stuff. But it was essentially my chest was very deformed, and I mean, we already knew a little bit that it was deformed because I didn't have any milk ducts of any kind. Um, but it was very strange because essentially my chest, when it formed, like when it grew, um, how to explain this? Um, I had when skin, when you look at skin normally, it's a layer of skin, and then underneath of it there's fascia and nerve endings and you know sensory going up, and access through the pores and stuff like that. My skin was not like that. My skin was a layer of skin, and then it was fused to another layer of skin underneath of it that stretched and turned into lesion-like strips attaching themselves to each other, and the skin layer on top tried to grow out and into breasts, but the skin layer underneath stayed flat, but was still fused in these big long, again, they're literally described as lesion-like strips. And growing in these lesion-like strips were things like skin tags. And I essentially had a masculinized chest, like at a base underneath of my breasts that were coming forward, and the masculinized chest was very deformed and fusing into the breasts that were trying to go out in a really weird way, and it had like skin tags and stuff attached to it and everything buried underneath of like the breast fat. And it's like was very weird apparently for everyone involved. Um, I didn't know that that was a possibility. I didn't even know that that could happen. It's apparently extremely rare and they don't know why it happens, but the skin basically is in like these big long shreds and they just sort of grow into each other in really long, strange strips. Um, I, I didn't even know that was a thing that could happen to anybody. So, I have a couple of skin tags on the outside of my skin. It runs in my father's side. My father has quite a few skin tags, so big surprise, I have some, but I didn't know you could have skin underneath inside your body that also had skin tags and stuff growing on it. But it wasn't like I had a bunch of like muscle and fascia and stuff like that on top of this other skin. I don't know how to explain it better. But anyway, I am, you know, shocked. You don't expect to see something like that when you're just like, oh, they did a bunch of testing on me. What did I have? Um, I'm sure that was interesting for my surgeon, but anyway, part of the reason I never had sensation in my chest was because all of my nerves and everything were buried underneath the lower layer of this fused skin, not the upper. So I've never had sensation in my chest ever for 37 freaking years, and it was because my nerves were all buried deep far down and stuff. Anyway, so when he fully chopped everything off and pulled my skin together, I have so much sensation in my chest. It's been a little unnerving to feel like pain, and I can feel my nipples, and I've never been able to feel them in my entire life. Like, people have tried a lot of things to try to stimulate them or whatever, and stuff. Nothing. And now, like, before, when I would touch my chest, like if I put my hand against it, I could feel pressure that something was pushing, but I couldn't feel the heat from my hand. I couldn't feel anything cold on it. I couldn't feel like pleasure or pain or anything like that really in my chest at all. And I just thought I was weird. I just thought this is just some weird thing maybe that has to do with not having milk ducts or something. I don't know. I didn't know why, and I thought it was strange after my surgery that I had more sensation instead of less because they always tell you, oh, don't expect sensation. That's not a guarantee. I have trans friends who they could put like an ice cube against their nipple after top surgery and it gets hard, but they cannot feel the ice cube in any way, shape, or form. And their body still reacts to the ice cube, but they have no sensation on their nipples. And so they're like, impressed because here I am talking to my trans friends and I'm like, I have sensation. I've never had it in my entire life. I and it's partially because up here the skin isn't the same as it was down lower, and on my tummy obviously it wasn't the same as it was down lower, and when they pulled those two together the skin is now healthier, not as deformed skin. In the very middle where some of my breast skin might still be along like the edges and stuff, no sensation at all. But as soon as I get off of that, like it's almost like I can tell where it changes, and it's very little breast skin left at all, like almost none. So my surgeon did a really good job. Like he literally just chopped them off and put everything together. Like there's almost no trace of any of the old skin at all, which is a good thing because it was apparently deformed and weirdly fused into itself in strange lesion-like strips. I try to imagine that, and all I can think of are like, those pictures of when people's skin's removed and the muscles are underneath, and there's all these sinew, and I just think of the skin with like that sinew in the skin somehow. I don't know. It's really weird for me to think about it, but that it's not red like that. It's not muscle. It's almost like how sometimes people get like stretch marks and part of the stretch mark sinks down and part of the stretch marks up. I think of it like that maybe. But it's I have to imagine it because obviously I didn't see it. I didn't know anything about it. So, but yeah, the weirdness of me. I was born into the world and my body was like F you to nature. Let's push your boundaries. Let's see how weird we can make this person. um is what it feels like. I'm sorry my eyes are watery. I have the fan on full blast cuz it's very hot. And I just have to sit here on a bed. I can't go like out to the waterfront and stick my feet in the water, which would be so nice. Anyway, um, so that was very interesting. I had no idea that that could even happen to a person. Um, my father doesn't think I was born deformed, and I don't understand like crazy things like that that you would never even imagine, and it's like medically verifiable and has actual evidence and everything. It's so mind-boggling to me. I of course didn't know about that, but I'm saying just there's been so many examples of things that have come up that doctors keep finding about my body, and it's just like, man, if you could stop being willfully ignorant, you might be fascinated. I'm fascinated. I think it's strange. And the craziest thing is despite all of my weirdness or whatever from being born intersex, I'm like in perfect health. I have great health. I'm chunky, but my cholesterol, my blood sugar, my all the only thing I have is my strange anemia, which is her, genetic. Um, and yeah, like I'm in such good health thanks to my testosterone. Anyway, because I wasn't in perfect health before I started taking testosterone. Anywho, um, yeah, just nuts. Anyway, onward to other news and happenings and so on and so forth. I'm slowly increasing my range of motion for my arms. I still can't lift them up very high, but I am starting to be able to lift them more stretched out lower, which before I had little like, um, my trans friends like to joke and say top surgery, you get little T-Rex arms because your arms can only go like this, and now I can go more like this, which is not very big of a difference, but believe it or not, that's a big difference. But it's 2 weeks since my surgery. I'm healing so well. My drain holes, one side is completely closed, and the other side is almost completely closed. I've started having some of the surgical tape dry, and we have had to start cutting with scissors some of it off. They said don't ever pull it off; it'll dry and start peeling off on its own, so just let it do it. And we have still been putting the green gooey sticky gauze on the nipples because we're supposed to be, but the nipples are already showing signs of healing pretty well, which is nice. I haven't seen any signs of like partial nipple loss or anything like that, which is obviously nice. And it's so strange. I can feel. So I've always had chest hair, and I've had to shave it most of my life when I was living in shame, and letting my chest hair grow out. It's like been therapeutic and everything, but they had to shave it for the surgery, and it's been growing back, and that's been making the taping for putting the gauze on a little annoying because the hairs like to catch in the tape. But whatever. The point is I have a hair growing in right like on the very edge of one of my nipples, and I can feel every time that little hair like pushes on something or catches on anything, my whole nipple just goes it's like it's so funny because I've never felt any of these things before, and now I can feel them all, and it's just like I don't know who gets top surgery and has sensation like times 100 compared to before they went in. Like it just has to be me. I just have to be the weirdo. Um, but it's been a very interesting, you know, experiencing experiences, I guess, or whatever. I keep putting my hands on my chest because I can feel it, and and I'm not doing it hard because obviously I don't want to push on my stitches or anything like that. But I've been leaving. I usually am not a person who is quite as hand movie or whatever and stuff. And I usually keep my hands like folded together or like sitting on down somewhere or something. But I've been keeping them over my chest because it's like so strange to be able to feel. I don't know. I think I'm getting used to it or something, or basking maybe in that I can feel. But the healing's going well. Um, the wounds and stuff, like everything looks like it's all closing up and doing really really well. So I'm super happy about that. My um, my post-op appointment is supposed to be for 3 months after the surgery, and it can't be because apparently my surgeon and all of his co-surgeons, for whatever reason, saved their vacation time to be in the last 3 months of the year. So I was I was told way back in like May that I could possibly have bottom surgery consults, at the very beginning of fall, maybe September, October, Aug- August was pretty unlikely, but whatever. And that I was one of the first people on the waiting list. Um, and it just wasn't happening and wasn't happening. Well, this week, you know, she told me, well, it could be as far out as like February. So then I felt really crappy, like really, really crappy. That bottom surgery consult went from being predicted at such a like exciting amount of time to not even being this year. And so I messaged her back and I said, would it help if I went to other hospitals and drove out of my way? Would it help if, I tried to get a letter in and you guys already had a therapist letter? Would it help if I was offering all these different options, and she's like, it's not that. And I'm like, well, I don't understand how the scheduling works. I don't understand how it changes by that much this fast because it feels like every couple of weeks it changing by like a month or two. And so she messaged me back and she explained that. She's like, the surgeons all are taking their vacation time in the last 3 months of the year. For instance, my surgeon in particular, all of October except for 1 week, flat out he's on vacation. And she said the rest of the time in like November and December, the days he's taking off, he's a surgeon. He's not trying to take off surgery days, so he takes off consult days because he does consults specifically on certain days of the week. And, you know, sadly, consult days fall on Friday, so then he gets 3 day weekends and so on and so forth. Anyway, so it makes sense. I understand. Every single time he takes off another consult day, that's another 10 people added to the waiting list. And so I get that. I understand that. Why it's so different than it was when she originally was predicting things, but it still sucked. So I was like, well, at least I understand, but I'm sad. So but I was emailing back and forth with her. I didn't like email, oh, I'm sad to find out this. I just was like, thank you for telling me. You know, I was trying to be gracious about it and stuff. But when she got me my top surgery, like my surgeon's assistant is the nicest elderly woman. She's like a grandmotherly mama bear or whatever for trans folks. Like she's so nice and so indignant at the injustices of what trans folks have to go through. Like when she found out that I had been waiting, like I when I originally called her, it was just to ask about bottom surgery. And she said, well, we do top surgery too, if you're looking for that. And I was like, well, I'm technically in with this other office, and it's been over a year, and they haven't done crap. It's been not a great experience and stuff. So, I don't know what to do about top surgery. And she's like, that's horrible. I can't believe that. That's obscene. Like she's just like, the injustice of it all. And she's like, I will get you a consult next month. And she's just like, demands for things to improve for me kind of an attitude. And it felt like magic. And then I get my consult on May 20th, and they're like, yeah, you can have surgery on July 13th. And it's like, this is so fast compared to what I was experiencing before, compared to what some of my trans friends have told me they've experienced before with like waiting for surgeries and stuff. It was fast, and I got good results, and I just like tremendously grateful. I told her, even if you can't explain to me how scheduling works and there is no way around that the consult has to be next year, I still respect you because you've changed my life for the rest of my life already with what you already did do. I'm just hoping that it doesn't have to be next year because, you know, it's heartbreaking to realize that what you thought was going to happen isn't necessarily going to happen. Not because I'm not grateful. I tried really hard to make that clear in my emails and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, I even told her that it felt like magic when she got me the top surgeries. I was like, it felt like magic, and I realized it might have just been luck, and you didn't mean to set like a precedent or an expectation by being so completely amazing. So I'm sorry if I've put that kind of pressure on you that, oh yeah, you're gonna just be the most amazing person ever for every single surgery or something. Like, I tried to be really clear about all that. I don't know. Anyway, she gave me the answer and stuff. I, did therapy about my anxiety, and I mean, I was so anxious about the way that the bottom surgery scheduling was not happening. I was getting like panic attacks and stuff. I was like, they're going to give me one surgery and then the next surgery's not going to happen for like 3 years. I was very distressed. But I was trying not to put that on her because she's such a great person. So I was trying to deal with that in therapy. And bottom surgery is just so important to me. And I really hate feeling weak. I hate feeling desperate. And I've had to come to terms with the fact that I am desperate, whether I want to be or not. I need to accept the truth, and accept that it's me trying to find every way around it possible is only increasing my anxiety instead of helping things. Um, but she seemed to apparently feel bad because after we got done emailing and she explained how the scheduling worked and stuff, about an hour later she emailed me a phone number and said, please call me. And I was like, okay, this isn't the normal number I call to get to you. She gave me her phone number, and she's like, I don't have a voicemail set up for it so that I don't get bombarded if I do give my number out and stuff. But if you call this, it's always right next to me. And I'll pick up if you keep calling again and again, even if I don't pick up the first time. Just call back because I'm probably just listening to music on my headphones while I'm working. So she was like, just call this phone if you need help with anything. And I was like, wow, she gave me her like actual phone number. Like, that was very she's the nicest woman. Anyway, and she was like, so, your doctor, your surgeon, he's been in surgery all day. He's got more surgeries to go, but between two surgeries, he came in to talk to me about something. And after we finished talking about it, I brought you up. And he and I discussed you a little bit, and I don't want you to ever feel like you slipped through the cracks or that you're not important. You are in the top 5 people on the waiting list, and I know that you've gone through a lot of stuff and you've dealt with other people not following through when they made you promises before, and I don't want that to be us. And she said she's been talking to my surgeon and they came up with a solution that isn't normal, but they're going to try it anyway to basically give me my referrals in a different way than usual, for everything. So I I was crying. I was so shocked and happy. Like I couldn't believe that they did all of this, but she was like, "You've had to jump through way too many hoops, and we should be the ones jumping through hoops for you." Like just the nicest lady. I'm trying not to cry right now. Um, remembering it because I was just so grateful. I couldn't even hardly speak. All I could say was, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," like, and then tell her how thankful I was. And she sounded a little choked up when she was telling me, that they should be the ones jumping through hoops. Like, you could hear the sincerity in her voice. Like, she's the nicest person. I've never knew that after the surgeon's assistant, I got referred for top surgery at first in New York, but it wasn't a quote unquote real referral that I planned to pursue because I just needed the referral to be in place so that when I got to Washington when we moved, I would be able to just literally tell my doctor, I already have a referral. Can you please just transfer it? Um, but the surgeon's assistants, like, for the first two places, so for New York and for the office that I used here in Washington for the first year, like those surgeon's assistants, they're they're nothing compared to this one. Like this woman is just like I just want to like meet her someday and hug her, like, and tell her how much I appreciate her. She and him talked, and they decided that he was going to go ahead and refer me to a special OBGYN that he had already talked about referring to me to before. He was like, technically, you can get a hysterectomy whether you get bottom surgery or not. So I'm just going to send you to this LBGT plus specializing OBGYN who I know for a fact has experience in the past working with some intersex people. And see if you can, find out some of the information that you need from the OBGYN and possibly even get your hysterectomy done within the next several months. Um, because a hysterectomy is a, pretty simple procedure in this day and age. Um, I was so grateful because, for instance, if I have to have, everything removed, um, that's a real possibility because I have to be on hormones for the rest of my life anyway, because I already had a hormone imbalance in the first place. Um, I wasn't producing correctly in the first place. So it's not the same risk as it would be for normal people taking out all the hormone producing organs, like ovaries. My big thing is I really, 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 if I have a gonad in my ovary cavity, um, which is where it would be assumed to be, I don't want to have to remove it if at all possible. I would like to keep it, even if that's silly. I I would like to keep my gonad, like just outright. Um, and if she's worked with intersex people before, it's a lot more likely that she would have an understanding of more options or possibilities than a normal OBGYN. And so that's like really, really a massive thing for me. And he's like, you don't have to technically have had the consult for bottom surgery to need a hysterectomy. You might just need one. So I'm just going to give you the referral information for her and we're just going to make that happen. And that way you're at least already doing something toward bottom surgery before you can. The second thing he did is he said, if you're open to it, I have a colleague, and the colleague can do a virtual appointment with you just to discuss the different types of bottom surgery and stuff. And if we have a little bit of information from the OBGYN and we have information from him talking to you about it and stuff on a virtual appointment, then we'll already have nailed down this is probably the surgery we need to go for. This is probably the donor site we need to look at and test. And this is probably the skin graft donation spot we need to look at and test. And he said, if we have all those things already nailed down, then, you know, that makes the actual quote unquote consult, physical consult, in person consult, um, have part of the requirements and stuff done already. And this way, also, we can say, even though it was a virtual appointment, even though it wasn't technically with me, that you've had a bottom surgery consult, which means we can refer you to insurance for 6 months of electrolysis. This means that I would already be starting my electrolysis before my actual in person bottom surgery physical exam. And that means that the time that it takes for you to do electrolysis would not be taking away from the time between now and my actual bottom surgery, because I wouldn't have to wait for the physical consult in order for that to start happening. So this way, I get my referrals for the other stuff that has to happen before you can have phalloplasty in the first place already going, and then we can get the physical consult later. And it'll just be basically that my bottom surgery consult is much closer to the actual surgery than usually it is. Usually you get your bottom surgery consult and your surgery is like a year later, because you have to have time for your electrolysis, you have to have time for your hysterectomy, all these things, and all of that stuff has to happen first. And this way, it's just going to be a shorter amount of time between the physical consult and the surgery. I like super grateful, like so grateful that he is going out of his way to do it this way. And he said as long as the results from the OBGYN don't show nerve damage for the nerves that you do have down there, I'm going to say we're going ahead with it. And he has an interest in microsurgery, so and I already told him I don't have bottom growth, so I don't have anything to bury in the shaft. I don't have that normal, hey, you've got a phalloplasty, you're creating a shaft and you're putting the bottom growth inside of it to help, with the transference of sensation and everything, and he already knew that going in, and he said he didn't know for sure unless he could do an examination, and now he's saying that he's going to try to have these other people help him to do the examining until he himself can. And as long as he's got, good results showing from these other two doctors from, what they do, then he's going to go ahead with everything, which is just like massive, like really massive, because it means that he has a decent amount of confidence that it's still going to work out. And that's really huge to me. Like, I already have my top surgery that he did, and I'm happy with the results. And he also seems like the nicest person. Um, Once I'm for sure, you know, scheduled and stuff like that, I've been avoiding saying the name of my surgeon, because, you know, a lot of people say the names of their surgeons on here and stuff, and they always do it after the fact, because as much as you want to help other people and as much as you might appreciate your surgeon or something like that, you also don't want to clog his schedule while you're still trying to get on it. um, just being honest. But I definitely do intend to let people know who it is and stuff, because I have had nothing but gratitude to say for how much they show caring for their patient. And I'm so freaking glad that I got in before they started doing the he can only have new patients come in 2 times a month. I'm so glad that I got in the window that I did. I'm so glad that somehow top surgery was just like, I first talked to her on what was it, like April 11th, 13th, something like that. My consult for top surgery was on the 20th, and my top surgery was on July 13th. Like, that seems so fast compared to other trans folks that I've talked to. And now my, recovery is going really well and everything. And I got top surgery July 13th, and it's July 28th, and today I'm supposed to get my stuff to be able to call and schedule to meet this OBGYN, and I could possibly have a hysterectomy um, before my appointment on October 14th for the virtual bottom surgery consult. And then in November, I'm supposed to have my post op um, appointment. So they couldn't do the 3 months because, again, he took vacation in October, so they have to do it in November. And he is considering, he has not said whether he will do it or not yet, but he is considering doing a partial physical exam of my bottom surgery needs during my post-op appointment because I will have had extra time to heal and extra time to not need post-op anything. The likelihood of me needing a revision or anything at this point is marginal. Like, it's so slim. So it should be a quick, simple, hey, cool, everything looks good, everything's healing well. Let's take a couple of pictures. Woot woot, we're good. Which means that he'll probably have enough time to take a quick check of stuff for bottom surgery. It would not be a full exam, but it would be enough of one to reassure himself about, all the results from the OBGYN and from the appointment in October. So that means that I would have, before the end of the year, before even December, like, full go ahead on everything and full reassurance about everything, and will have already started electrolysis slash have a hysterectomy. Like, that's so significant to me. I can't believe the time pacing because before, when it was taking so long just to get top surgery, I was thinking, man, I've looked at these other, you know, trans folks and stuff, both on YouTube and, that I've known in like trans group and things like that and stuff. And the arbitrary wait times plus the pandemic makes this stuff so long. And I was trying to do the math on how long this stuff takes and how long you have to wait and how long everything goes because it all has to be done in a certain way or whatever. And like, if I had complications, it might take until I was like 45 if I had complications during my surgeries. And if I didn't have complications during my surgeries, it'd still take till like 42, 43. And at the rate that it's going, now if I have complications, it'd take till like 42 or 41. And if I don't have complications at the rate that it's going, I could be done before the end of 40. And that's just I, incredible to me to even think about. And he said normally he schedules the bottom surgery to be about 8 months or so after the initial consult. And I will have already been working on everything else, so it'll be significantly closer. And I thought, well, maybe if I even guesstimate things and say, hey, 8 months after, like, October 14th, that's still, like, nuts to me that it could be that soon that I could be having my first stage 1 surgery for phalloplasty. And bottom surgery, we call it bottom surgery, but it's actually a series of surgeries. Like there's different stages to it. It's not one surgery at all. um, but it's just like such an extremely important thing to me, and it could be so much closer than what I thought it was going to be. And that is just so, I think I'm still a little in shock. Like she told me yesterday, and I'm still trying to absorb it. It when good things happen to me, I have trust issues from my life, and it takes me a little bit to accept that this is real, that it's really true. And I don't know if he's going to say yes or no to the in November do a partial check real quick before having a real consult, thing next year. But I do know the October appointment is on the books, like already. And that today my referral for the OBGYN goes through and it's on the books. And just those two things being on the books is massive. I messaged my therapist and said, please, 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 I have to have a bottom surgery letter, before my appointment in October. And, um, she's always been very open about being totally willing to write letters and stuff. So that's really, I'm super grateful for that. Um, and I gave her the fax number for his colleague because, his surgical assistant gave me that. And again, she's just the nicest person. She's the nicest person. The woman in charge of all of his scheduling and all of his stuff, knowing all his information for him so that he can go focus on medical stuff. Um, she's just the nicest elderly person, and I'm so grateful to her. And to him, because he took his break between surgeries, and instead of like going and just like lounging around or getting coffee or whatever, he spent it talking about me, and just so grateful. um, just so grateful. Um, and that they're trying to do stuff a little bit out of the box or out of traditional order, or however you say that, to make it still work out. I don't know how to express how grateful I am. I have a friend from my trans group who's in college in Ohio, and um, she's coming here to, hang out with her boyfriend's family for a little bit. So we're hoping that we can catch lunch at some point, um, or, take a walk on Alki or something, ride the ferry. I don't know. I will still be in this vest at that time, but I will be past the you still need to be taking super good care of your nipples and stuff like that part. Um, I'm excited about that. It's hard having all of my friends that I'm not related to. Like for instance, I consider my brother my really good friend, but he's related to me. But all of my friends I'm not related to, they all live far away. Like I don't have a single one that lives near me. Um, so I don't get to have like in-person hangouts with my friends very often. The majority of them don't even live in this country. So it's actually kind of nice that I would be able to see, her in person. Um, I talked a lot with my best friend who lives in Singapore recently, and that was really, really nice. But, we've never even met. Been best friends since 18, never met. Just siblings across the ocean. That's what we call each other. we're I don't know. We just always have been friends. We seem to go through life at the same pace, and we've experienced some things similar enough that we just think very similarly. We understand each other. Even if we haven't talked for a long time, we just pick right back up again because we understand each other. Anyway, she she's doing well though. That's good. She's her and her girlfriend, you know, are living together with some roommates and stuff, and everyone got COVID except for my best friend because the roommates brought it in. So she was really glad that she didn't get it. She as soon as she realized that the roommates had it, she like sequestered herself away, and then her girlfriend apparently touched something too soon after them or something and got it, but she didn't get it. So, yay. They're all vaccinated and everything, but still she said that in Singapore the new variant has been hitting things a little hard there. But yeah, she's doing really well. She streams on Twitch. She just got a new what is it when I don't remember what it's called, but when a company um creates a discount code for you for their games and they partnership. She just got a new partnership, and so that's her second partnership. So she's really excited about that, and yeah, she's really awesome. Um, but yeah, I never get to hang out with her in person. Someday, someday, we would like to. I'd love to go and actually like meet her face to face. But um, that's the full extent of my stretching right there. I can't move my arms further than that. So the top of my head, if it gets itchy, it's so frustrating because I cannot scratch it. I can scratch the very base of my neck, but I cannot. It's so annoying. I can't scratch the top of my head very good at all. Like I can reach right here, but I can't like. Anyway, um, it'll be exciting to see my friend though. We're supposed to go next year, hopefully to Japan, and we're also supposed to go next year, hopefully to um, my spouse's best friend's wedding, and we all three are friends with both her best friend and his fiance. Um, I'm not as close to them as my spouse is, but we are all friends and friendly with each other and everything. Um, so that's all stuff we're supposed to do next year, where we'll be doing stuff with other people and hanging out and stuff. We're supposed to go to Japan with my brother, and that was really fun when we went on vacation with him to Oregon and California and everything. But yeah, I just don't see people in person very often for like friendship purposes. I see my family like every single month if I can. We get together and do fun things or have a cookout or whatever it is. But like actual like friends, I just like my friends live in like Australia and Singapore and the UK and like I have a Dutch friend and I have man, I think they live in Greece. That's terrible. Um I can't I don't think it's Italy. I think it's Greece. Um Pathetic. I know, pathetic. I have a couple of friends that live like in Ohio or live in like um, Illinois and stuff like that, but they're none of them are remotely close to me. Like just none of my friends live near me at all. Uh, my sorry again about my watery eyes. I don't know why, but whenever the fan's blowing really hard or wind's blowing really hard, my eyes just water. Anyway, um, so I I really appreciate moments that I do get to see a friend. Is basically what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry, I'm very distracted. um, I can't believe how much has improved for me over the last 2 days. I was so upset, and now I'm so relieved, and it's just so tremendous. I'm truly grateful. I'm still trying to eat lots of protein, but I am falling by the wayside. I'm supposed to be getting like 170 grams of protein a day or something like that. I'm not hitting that. But I am trying to eat every single thing that I eat has lots of protein in it, or else is like, chilled fruit because it's so hot. Um, but yeah, there's just there's just a lot of protein that I'm trying to get down, and it's still not enough. um, you're supposed to have protein after surgery, almost like a bodybuilder, and that's hard. That's really, really hard. Um, but I'm doing my best. It's interesting because, like, I'm trying to do every single thing the surgeon says or suggests to the T. Like, I'm trying so hard to do it all exactly as possible so that I have the best results as possible. And I, I don't know if I'm maybe being a little extreme doing that because none of my trans friends who've had top surgery did that. I have friends who stopped wearing this thing after 6 days, or who like tried to pull some of the stitches out themselves with tweezers. Like stuff that I feel like is extreme in the other direction, where it's like, come on, why did you do that? That doesn't seem smart. But I realize I don't necessarily have to follow every single thing exactly by the book, but I'm doing that anyway because I want the best results. I want the rest of my life to be so much better than it has been, and I'm so determined about that I'm like temporary dealing with annoyance and recovery and stuff is so worth it to me for the rest of my life to be going smoother and to have less like of this bad in it and stuff. And as much as I appreciate this surgery and I appreciate the surgeries to come, I do have plans for my life after I'm done with surgeries. There's more that I want for my future than just to be physically more good to go. I feel like my test results for my chest just kind of prove what I've always said, that when I get surgery, I will, despite having scars, feel less like Frankenstein's monster than I was born. And I genuinely feel that way. Like, despite the fact that I have, you know, this stitching that's turning into scar, like, I have sensation in my chest for the first time in my life. I feel so much less deformed, so much less weird and strange. And I didn't even know why that happened. But it's just always something. It's such a massive improvement. And not even just physically, although obviously physically, medically, it's definitely improvement. Um, just mentally, it's like so much stress off my mind. And I want a life where I'm like living in the trees in the forest, and I want to have a forest garden, and I want to have, an actual like raised garden, and I want to build a greenhouse and have a garden there. The girls are super excited for us to have some farm animals like chickens and, rabbits and stuff like that. Like, nothing extreme, nothing major, but just to actually, you know, have a home and give back to the earth and to grow some of our own food and be like able to have that little contented little haven, from the rest of the world and how stressful the world is. And it's it's deeply impactful for me. It is not lost on me how profound it is that I could have a haven like that and have a future where, like, I live like that and feel fulfilled that way while also being whole and at peace in myself. And not everything will ever be perfect. I mean, I don't know anything that can be done, for instance, for my ankles other than for my bones to continue to improve. But, like, this anemia doesn't magically go away. It's for the rest of my life. But those things are not very impactful compared to being intersex. Like, it really does just affect your life so much. And having my hormones out of whack my whole life because of mutilation that happened to me when I was tiny on my genitals, like, that I didn't get a say in or even to know about until I was an adult and doctors could examine me. My parents either didn't know or never told me. The doctor who originally did it, who knows if they even are still alive or practicing or who they were. I have no idea who they were. Like, it's not lost on me at all that after a lifetime of struggle, that I could possibly, for the rest of my life, get to have my cake and eat it too. And I feel like not everyone gets that. Not everyone gets to have dreams about bettering themselves and bettering their circumstances, and there be a possibility that they could both come true. And I feel very humbled by the kindness of the people who are trying to help make that happen. Every single year that I get, having to still be waiting for surgeries is another year that means that I'm done with them and I can just live. And in the end, I'm so excited to just live. And I'm truly grateful that I even get to hope for that. Anywho, I guess I'm done talking for today. Um, but yeah, it's been a good couple of days.